Hello and welcome to Hebden Bridge Town Hall. I want you to cast your minds back a fortnight to what you were doing exactly 2 weeks ago today. I was sitting at home, calmly enjoying myself, when the flood sirens went off. So this lovely river outside, but more importantly the River Calderdale, were both rising quite dramatically. And if you haven't experienced the local flood sirens, it's very scary because it takes you back to all those Second World War films, which for some reason we all seem to love, and you immediately assume the worst and that, you know, the bombers are overhead. So that was really scary. And I did think, oh no, I don't want to be another flood mayor, because there are certain mayors that are known as flood mayors. And the second thing that happened was that an email pinged into my inbox from Robin, who is standing at the back there and who has been one of the people organising today. And he said in that email that he wanted all the speakers to send their presentations in within the next 6 days. And I thought, well, I've been asked to give an introduction, and all of you are used to the idea that dignitaries stand here with the bling on, as Bede has pointed out, and say a few platitudes and then get off the stage in a hurry. Well, Hebden Bridge isn't like that. So I thought, okay, you've given me 15 minutes and the opportunity to come up with a presentation. So that's exactly what I will do. So you're stuck with me now for a few more minutes. So, Hebden Bridge, where we are. What can you say about Hebden Bridge? What people normally say is something along these lines. So actually they usually say hippie, but bohemian seems to be becoming a more acceptable description of hippies. Artistic, definitely. Lots of festivals, definitely. Last weekend we had the film festival. In a couple of weeks' time we have a piano festival, and here in the middle we have not quite a festival but a conference weekend, which is great. We are also award-winning. Now, I think all mayors will exhibit some level of civic pride, but I can't tell you how fabulous it is to be a mayor of a town that has won all those awards. Bede has already alluded to the one that we won in 2005. We are the least cloned high street in the country, and that is still the case. So please do go out and spend some money in our local shops. If I draw your attention to the bottom one, unwittingly, as you will realise, you are now in an officially cool town on the international scale. I mean, that is actually quite remarkable that we are mentioned at number 7 in that international cool list. So enjoy bathing in being cool today. I am, though, the mayor of Hebden Royd, and that is Hebden Bridge and Royd. So, Royd, just down the road a couple of miles. If you come to the Ceilidh tonight, you will be in Royd. Royd is known as being different to Hebden Bridge. So, a few important things. The birthplace of Ted Hughes, a poet laureate, hosts the World Dock Pudding Championship. If any of you don't know what dock pudding is, come and see me afterwards and we'll have a discussion about dock pudding. Was the home of the notorious crag coiners a couple of 100 years ago. Also, though, and here's the first hint of why we're here today, is the home of the longest continuous incline in England, 5.5 miles of it constantly going uphill. And that's the first hint, I think, of one of the reasons why we're here today, because we've got a lot of hills and a lot of water running off those hills. So in a sense, I've shown you some of the differences between the two towns, but they do have similarities, and is constantly said nowadays, we have more in common than that parts us. So we have some similarities, and the first one is we have a lot of water. So both towns have a lot of water flowing through them. Both towns have 2 rivers and a canal flowing through them. They are both historically crossing points on the rivers. The Packhorse Bridge in Hebden Bridge is just there. If you look out of the window, it is just there. It's a beautiful old humpback bridge that was used by pack horses, and I do encourage you to go and have a look because it is truly a very beautiful bridge. So, quite literally, water has shaped our towns. The earliest dwellings were up on the hilltops because our ancestors actually had the sense to stay up on the dry hilltops and avoid the damp valley bottoms. However, humans are humans. Industry came along, water power in the valleys drove mills, and people moved down the hill. And as they moved down the hill, we got a lot of houses crammed into very steep valley sides. So in Hebden Bridge, we have very characteristic over and under dwellings where you have one house on top of the other on two parallel roads as they go up the hills. I have with me a local history book, which is about the last 100 years, and that's the last century. So it was written and published in 1999, and the index in that book references floods 13 times, which gives you an idea that flooding has always been an issue where we are. I've put up the drawing of the bling that I'm wearing today. Again, if anyone wants to come and have a look at it, do. This was designed and made in Hebden Bridge after the 2015 floods and features water very heavily. And it was made, it was a way of us putting money back into the local economy. So it was made by a jeweller who had been affected by the floods. One of the things that Beat has already talked about is a sense of community, and in these two towns we have an enormous sense of community. Statistically, our big council, Calderdale, has recently carried out a survey of its local residents, and it posed a series of statements, and you were asked to agree or disagree. Well, this particular statement, "My neighbourhood pulls together to improve the local area," got the highest level of agreement in this area where we are now. So that tells you that here there is a big sense of community and people working together. I want to tell you a story, though, to exemplify that even further. The picture there is of our railway station in Hebden Bridge in its summer glory with all the flowers out. In there is a cafe run by two local people. Inevitably, I have to tell you, it is an award-winning cafe. So a friend of mine commutes from that station to Manchester virtually every day. And a couple of months ago, went in first thing in the morning, was waiting for their coffee to be poured, and realised they didn't have their wallet on them. So when the person turned around and said, "Here's your coffee," they said, "I'm really sorry, I've just realised that I haven't actually got any money on me, nor any cards." And the woman serving him said, "Don't worry, you can pay me tomorrow." Well, maybe that's not that remarkable. What is remarkable is the follow-up statement. "But will you be all right? Have you got any money on you to buy dinner with? And have you got any money on you for the bus fare at the other end? Because we'll lend you some money out of the till and you can pay us back tomorrow." That is truly community. So I have to tell you that I think the organisation Slow the Flow, who have organised today, exemplify that sense of community. Because when I said to them, "I'm going to be mayor and I want you to be my charity," they said to me, "That's brilliant, but it's not just about the money." And they said to me, "Can you help us to organise a conference?" And I think that's amazing, because they want to share their skills and your skills so that we can build a more resilient community, not only locally, but nationally. And that's what we need. And now I'm going to get off the stage. I understand that Bede has been perfecting a song and dance act whilst we switch over the microphones, which may or may not work.
Thanks
so
very much
thank
indeed,
you.
Carol.